Hi, my name is John and I am a music photographer and videographer from Houston, Texas, and today I'm going to tell you all about the question that I get asked absolutely most in this world, besides how to pronounce my last name, and that is, what camera gear do I use? As some of you may know, I'm primarily a touring photographer, which means that I get to travel the country and sometimes the world creating content for artists and bands. But whenever I'm not on the road, I spend most of my time doing portraiture work. So in today's extremely original and very creative video, I'm going to be focusing primarily on the gear that I use for all of my portraiture. My portraits. In the future, I am going to make a separate video that's a little bit more dedicated towards what my bag setup looks like for touring and for when I'm on the road. That'll be like a follow-up to this, so keep on the lookout for that. Also, I'm going to link everything that I talk about in this video down below in that description area or whatever, so if you'd like to do a little bit more research, you can. I don't really talk about this a whole lot, but technically I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you do go and use any of the links down below, and if you decide to purchase any of these items through those links, that actually does support the channel, and I do get a little bit of a kickback from that, so just throwing that out there, because yeah, I haven't mentioned that before. But anyway, let's stop stalling and move along. This is the Canon EOS R, and it has been by far the most greatest, the most prettiest, and the most satisfying camera that I've ever owned and used. The big 30 megapixel sensor gives you plenty of resolution to play with, and it's a full frame sensor, so you can get the most out of the lens's field of view, and of course, such good bokeh. Or is it bokeh? Bokeh? It's bokeh. In fact, that's what I'm using to shoot this video right now, which is what you were seeing me through in this moment. It is extremely small, lightweight, and very compact, which is a huge plus and bonus, and a great transition from the big hulking 5D Mark III that I was rocking beforehand. And again, since this isn't technically a review, I'm not gonna go too heavy into the specs, but I will say that the most important thing about this camera is just the actual experience that I get whenever I'm using it. Since it's mirrorless, anytime that I'm using it in real time, whenever I'm adjusting for exposure for a portrait that I'm doing, I get to see in real time through the viewfinder what it's going to look like whenever I alter any of the settings and adjustments. And the 30 megapixel sensor gives me so much resolution and so much stuff to play with that whenever I import it into my computer and start blowing those images up to do all the micro details and all of that kind of editing, it's such a joy to use. I absolutely love it. And also, nothing beats the Canon color, and that's just that. And no, I will not be taking any feedback on the matter as of right now. So thank you, moving along. Okay, so this right here is my baby. This is the first full frame lens that I ever bought, and ever since I've gotten this thing, it has never left my side, no matter what kind of shoot I'm doing. This 50mm is the perfect addition to any portrait photographer's arsenal because it has such a great combination of quality and affordability. With an aperture of f1.4, you can bring in a ton of light to your camera while also getting that gorgeous buttery depth of field and bokeh. Its small design and practically weightless body pretty much makes it a no-brainer to bring along with you to every shoot. And while I struggle to say that 50mm is my favorite focal length, I still bring it in my bag for pretty much every shoot that I do because of that. And yeah, I mean, if you don't have a 50mm, I mean, it's pretty much a staple that you have to have as a portrait photographer. It's not as cheap as the nifty 50, which clocks in around like $125, but it's definitely not the $1,000 plus 50mm L series lens that Canon offers. So yeah, this is definitely one that if you haven't picked up, you should definitely check this one out. Again, the link will be below. Now this is my other baby, my big baby. This is the Sigma Arts 20mm, and this one is also f1.4. And even though 20mm technically isn't very traditional when it comes to portraiture, I find that a lot of clients, and myself included, really enjoy the stylized effect that a wide-angle lens such as the 20mm, what it can do to a portrait shot without getting into like that weird fisheye sort of territory. You know what I mean? It's definitely a fun lens to use whenever you're getting more of a wide shot and you're getting nice and close up on your subject, and if you're trying to capture maybe the scenery that is around them, whether it be a nice wall, backdrop, trees, foliage, nature, the city skyline behind them, whatever it may be. I find that I end up bringing this one out to my shoots pretty often because yeah, I think it serves as a really good counterpart to that 50mm, and it really delivers a lot of some of my favorite portraits that I make. And since it is f1.4, I'm still able to get that nice buttery background and that nice depth of field. I'm probably not going to get as much bokeh as I would with the 50mm, for example, but no, this is a really good option for getting nice up and close and getting a different sort of style. The thing is that this one is not very lightweight and this one is not very small. This thing is a pain on my back. And now lastly, but not leastly, we have the third and final baby in the bag, and that is the Canon 24-105mm f4 L series lens. Even though f4 isn't technically the most desirable thing when it comes to portraiture, the 24-105 actually has a lot of really great benefits to it. So realistically, a lot of my portraits are done outside during the day anyway, when the sunlight's right on top of us. So I don't really find f4 to be that limiting whenever it comes into cutting out a lot of light, for example. But also f4 helps bring in a lot of sharpness to your images because you are cranking down on that f-stop a little bit, so your scene is getting a little bit sharper. You know, a lot of times I don't really mind I don't really mind having nice and very sharp images, so that's one thing. But also when you are using this lens, whenever you zoom in to around like the 70 to like 85 focal length, you really start seeing a lot of really cool benefits of this lens for portraiture specifically. Because if you're kind of in a bigger area and you stand back a little bit and start zooming in to those focal lengths, even at f4, you're still able to get a pretty decent amount of shallow depth of field behind your subject, and you can still get a decent amount of bokeh when you're zoomed all the way into that all the way to that 105mm focal length. But yeah, the 24-105, it'll surprise you. So I have this pack of filters that I bring with me on every shoot that I do, and these filters can range from very functional to very stylized. And the first one I'm going to talk about is this one right here, which is called a star filter. Now, star filters have these tiny little lines that are kind of like cross-hatched and etched into the glass right over here. When this is attached to the top of the lens right there, what it does is it captures or it catches the highest points of light in your image, and it creates this little starburst effect from those points of light, and it gives you a very cool and stylized look. Again, it's not very like traditional to have like star filters incorporated into portraiture, but I think it looks really cool, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from clients whenever I use these. Best thing about it is that these are like less than $20 on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. I got a pack of 3. One has like a 4-point star, a 6-point star, and an 8-point star, for example. And yeah, I'll link that down below as well if you want to take a look at it. But yeah, these are super cool, very fun to use, and if you pick them up, just definitely experiment with it. You can definitely get a lot of really cool effects with it. Okay, so the next thing that I have in here is more of a functional item, and that is this variable ND filter. Now, ND stands for neutral density, and it being variable means that it has different variations of that neutral density ness to it. Basically what it is, the best analogy for this is like having a pair of sunglasses for your camera. What this does is there are 2 pieces of glass on here that will adjust the amount of light that gets brought through. So if you twist this onto your lens and then rotate it, you can actually control how much light is passing through this lens right here before it even hits, did I say lens? I meant filter. Before it even hits your lens and passes that light into your camera body. Now this is really really awesome to have, especially if you're shooting outside in a lot of sunlight or in a place where there's just so much light that it's hard to handle or it's hard to expose for. This right here is a really good on-camera external solution so that you can go and get the perfect exposure without having to make too many adjustments in post-processing. All right, another oldie but a goodie. This right here is a Prism. Now, this right here is a small Prism. In fact, my larger Prism seems to have been misplaced, which is actually kind of freaking me out a little bit because I don't know what happened to it because I always leave it in my camera bag. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about Prisms anyway and talk about how they're useful and what they can do to your photos. Now, if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with Prisms and the effect that they have, but in case you're not, Prisms are a really great tool to use whenever you place this in front of your lens. It actually creates this very awesome look where it will reflect the environment that is around you, and whenever you adjust it, you can alter and manipulate that reflection that is coming into your lens. And probably more notably, it not only reflects the environment, but it also will refract the light that's coming in to the Prism and through your lens, which creates really awesome, very colorful and rainbow effects. Now, if you've ever looked at, let's say, Brandon Wolfel's work, for example, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But yeah, even though this is a little bit of a smaller variation of those, I'm definitely gonna have to get this replaced because that is another fan favorite. That's another one that photographers really enjoy using, which is that Prism in front of the lens effect right there. And I'll most likely end up using that link that I list down below in order to replace the one that I for some reason can't find now. But yeah, the Prism, you probably can't see what it's doing from where you are right over there, but another really awesome tool for portrait photography. I mean, okay, let's see what else. I mean, we have batteries and we have SD cards and things like that, I guess. But another thing is, if you don't have an SD card wallet or a case protector, definitely go and get one. This was another one of those things that I kind of held off on buying for some reason, and I don't know why. I just see, like, you know, whatever. I'm totally cool with placing an extra SD card in like the little tiny little pocket in your jeans, or putting it somewhere in the camera bag, or just leaving it in the camera itself or whatever. Look, I didn't have one of these, and I've been tossing my cards around a lot, and I kind of abused them a little bit. And what ended up happening to Jawn was, at some point, one of the cards must have gotten damaged because it was a little loose. It was a little loose, and you could feel that the pieces were moving. But it's like, you know what? Whatever. I'm on a shoot right now. It doesn't matter. I put it into the camera and use it. And then when I go to remove the card from the camera, I'm realizing it's not coming out. It's stuck. The card actually broke inside of my GH5, and guess what? The card was ruined and that card slot was ruined. And I had to send my GH5 into the shop in order for a professional to go in and clean out the debris that was in there and to get the SD card slot back in working condition. So yeah, spend $10 now, save your cards and keep them organized, and don't spend hundreds of dollars on repairing your camera because you're an idiot and you think, hey, you know, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Well, there is that. Link is also in the description below if you want one. I also keep a small little pack of lens cleaner inside of this little lens case right here. I usually throw that into my bag as well, just in case anything happens, if it starts sprinkling or if there's any debris on the lens. You have the little lens solution, you have a little poofy thing. You also have a microfiber cloth and some Q-tips if you need to get in and dirty on that thing. Yeah, I think I got this from like Houston Camera Exchange for like, I don't know, like $15 or $20, but you can definitely find it on Amazon for less. So I'll find a good one and put it down below. Yeah, that's pretty much almost it. And lastly, but not leastly, that brings us to the very last piece in the What's in My Camera Bag video, and that is the camera bag itself. This right here is the Alpha Globetrotter, and it is made by a company called Langley. And this right here is my other baby. I absolutely love this bag, both in terms of form and function. I won't get super into detail on it right now. Maybe I could save that for a different video if you're interested. Basically, this bag is split into two different compartments. You have the camera compartment right in here. In this bottom compartment right here, you can fit a couple of bodies, you can fit in a few lenses, for example, and a whole bunch of accessories for sure. And then the second main compartment is going to be at the very top right over here. So if you unbuckle these bad boys, there is a top compartment which is just a big open space for you to put whatever you like. You have a little protective little pouch right in here for things, you know, you can keep like your wallet and keys and things like that up the top right over there. And you have this nice big comfy pouch in the back right over here for your laptop. Also, if you haven't noticed, I still have this piece of plastic on the handle right over here, and everyone hates it so much. My girlfriend hates it, the band that I work with hates it, everyone that sees it is like, why don't you just take that freaking thing off? And it's like, well, because as soon as I take this thing off, then that means it's not new anymore, and if it's not new anymore, then it's an old camera bag, and then I'm gonna want a new camera bag, and you get the point. Well, they'll be happy to know that for the first time ever, after owning this bag for like a few months now, I am finally taking off the plastic on camera for everyone to see so they can all rest easy that I've finally taken the plastic off the freaking bag. You happy? Look. This very nice and well-designed leather strap is now exposed and free to the world for us to look at and admire and to utilize, and it's not protected by the plastic anymore, and now this bag is old. So that about wraps it up for the what's in my camera bag video for today. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something from it. I know I didn't go super far into detail on some of the items that we discussed in this video, but like I said before, I did link all of those items down below, so go check it out if you want to do some further research on any of those things. If you liked it, please like the video and let me know your thoughts on everything. If you want me to go further in a different video, for example, leave a comment saying what you liked. If you have any questions, I'll try and respond to as many of those as possible. And if you'd like to subscribe, I plan on putting out a lot more photography related content in the near future, so if you do that, then obviously I will then be pressured and forced into doing so. Even if it takes me forever to finally do it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I guess keep an eye out for a future follow-up to this that will probably go a little bit more into detail on me going on tour and what that camera bag looks like, because believe it or not, it's a little different. All right, thanks again so much, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.